So pricing a home right now is quite interesting. Couple points. So typically when selling a home, three things are going to dictate how quickly that home sells, and at what price, right? So it's the price, obviously, price of the home, and that is what the buyer is willing to pay for it. But sellers don't automatically or always price their home at that number. Sometimes they're higher because of the market that we saw in 2021 and 2022. Still holding on to those high prices, and in their mind, all they need is that one buyer that comes through and says, I love it, I fell in love with the home and I want it, and I'll pay anything for it. But that's just not the market we're in anymore. So sellers typically don't understand that. You'll see multiple price reductions, etc. So the second point of that triangle when listing your home is the condition of the home. That's going to be important. Is it updated? Are the kitchens and the bathrooms updated and newer and in style and what buyers are looking for? Or is a home either out of style and not renovated, things like that? So the condition is the second point. And then the third point is going to be the location of the home. So is it in a coveted location that buyers are wanting and willing to pay for, near schools and just things like that, quieter streets? So that's the triangle in terms of, hey, when you list a home, is it going to sell and how long is it going to sit there and what's it going to sell at? So it's price, it's condition, it's location. But pricing is tricky right now. And I'll give you an example. So my partner David and I, we listed a home in Westmead, and we ultimately decided to price it at $825, which is a very attractive price point here in Nashville. Beautiful home on an elevated lot, 1 acre plus, and we priced it at $825, which was priced to sell, which was fair market value, and we had a lot of action out of the first weekend, the showings and things like that. And we're now under contract in less than 24 hours. But I held a neighbor preview, and I invited neighbors over for a neighbor-only preview open house prior to the public open house, and they loved it. Had about 10 or 12 neighbors come by, and they absolutely loved it. They got to talk and meet new neighbors and catch up with old ones. And I had a neighbor come up, so we priced it at $825. Had a neighbor come up, and she said, I'm not a real estate agent, but I would have priced this home at $925. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, we would have sat for 30, 60, X amount of days and had to see multiple price reductions. And I think that's just the attitude of a lot of buyers right now. Let's just hope and pray. Let's price it high, hope and pray that the one buyer comes through, gets emotionally attached, loves the home, and pays anything for it. And when that doesn't happen, because that's quite frankly not happening often in this market, then we'll see a price reduction, and then another price reduction. And the home is now sat there 25, 40, 60 days, and it's no longer that coveted new house that just hit the market and has that pizzazz and that momentum that you want coming out of the gates with a new listing. You get showings and an open house and a lot of action, and just you can it's a tangible energy to a new listing. You lose that when you've been on the market 60, 90 days and you've seen 3 price reductions. So the buyer no longer they've seen that house. But when the 3 other times they've seen it, or the 10 other times they've seen it, it was drastically overpriced. So now in their head, they just they're over it. They're over that. They're on to the next one. Okay, they're looking for new inventory. And I think a lot of sellers don't understand the logic of a buyer, the mindset of a buyer. They just think, okay, well, let's start high, and if we get someone great, and if not, let's just reduce the price over the course of a month, 2 months, 3 months, and eventually we'll get the number that is fair market value. And that's also not always the case, because if we, in this example, if we went on at $925, which is what this neighbor said that they would have listed at, well, most likely what would have happened is we'd have sat for 15 days, 30 days. We'd have to have 60 days. We'd have to have multiple conversations with the sellers and saying, well, I think we need to drop the price 25,000. Let's get to let's get to 899 and see if that does anything. And then now we're 30 days on the market. And then another 2 weeks later, let's drop it to 875. And like, these drops don't do anything significant in the eyes of the buyer, because they've saw it at 925, and now you're 65 days later and you're at 850. You're still higher than what we came to market at. You're at 850, but now it's just like, we've seen that house 10 times, and it just pops up back to the top of the list because they've done another price reduction. And also in the minds of the buyer, it's like, well, do I really want to work with this seller? How unrealistic are they, and are they going to be a pain in the ass to work with? And what's wrong with this house? Why did it sit for so long? And it's been on the market 75 days. There must be something wrong with the home. It's like, no, probably not. You just priced it egregiously. So in the minds of a buyer, pricing is tricky for sellers right now. And that's where a lot of the experience, the skill, the knowledge of a top realtor that has some experience and understands how the market works and pricing and all of that back end, and also the mindset of a buyer. The agents that are doing that are standing out right now and can have a lot of value to someone trying to sell their home, because they understand that, and that will ultimately, pricing a home at fair market value and at a number that's going to drive pricing, or drive momentum, drive action and showings, and a lot of traffic through the home, and being able to market it and doing all those things. Pricing a home now is as important as ever in the past 5 years, and that will actually allow you to sell your home for more in less time. So pricing the home appropriately near fair market value will allow you to actually sell your home for more in less time. Sounds crazy, I know, but let's that example one more time. If we had to come on high at 925, and then 65 days later we're at 850, and then let's just say, okay, cool, maybe we get down to an 850 and we get an offer for 825 or 810, but it's 75 days on market, and now you're getting that same number that we listed at or less, but it's 75, 90 days down the road. And it's more of you're trying to catch a falling knife, and please give us an 825 offer, which is what we should have came on at originally, as opposed to coming on at fair market value, driving traffic and getting momentum, that tangible momentum around a new listing, and pricing it appropriately. So 825, we had a ton of open house, and ton of showings, and under contract in less than 24 hours. And we got a very good price that the seller is ecstatic with. So that's kind of the mentality around pricing right now in this real estate market, and it's as important now as ever in the last 5 years to work with a reputable realtor that knows and understands how to price, and doesn't just listen to the seller say, hey, I want to price at this, and I'm just waiting for that one buyer to come by. More realtors need to have the courage to step up to a seller and say, hey, this is where we need to price it at, and here's why. Give them tangible data, and not just listen to the seller for the sake of trying to get a listing, right? That doesn't do anyone any good. Don't ever just give in, despite what you know and believe in as a realtor, and understanding the industry and the data and all of that. Don't just give in because the seller is saying, hey, we're going to do this, and then you're scared to lose a listing. There's ample amount of opportunity. It's the abundant mindset that realtors need to adapt, and have confidence in yourself, in your skill, your knowledge, and in your understanding of the market and the data that's out there. In the current market environment that we're in right now, to speak up and tell, hey, this is what the home is worth. This is what we're going to do to sell your home for more money in less time. I think it's as important more now than ever. So that's my 2 cents on pricing right now in the real estate market here in June, summer of 2023. Let me know if you have any questions. If you agree, disagree, I'd love to talk to that. But that's my 2 cents on pricing and why it is so critical right now if you want to sell your home for more money in less time.